the facility there. Ayanda, what are you seeing there now?
Yeah, thanks very much, Blaine, and to our viewers. Good morning once again. Well, Blaine, we came to you at top of the hour at 9 o'clock. We were on the other side of the entrance to the small town of Estcourt. We've now cut across this small town, and let me just give you our exact location. We are now still on the R103. This road is heading to Ladysmith, and just across this road is the R74 heading to Weenan. As you can now see behind us, we've actually been trying to dodge stones, rocks that are being thrown here, and bottles that are being thrown on this road. As you can see, protesters have now shut down this intersection right here. You're seeing people there in your visuals carrying tires, continuing to blockade this road, and saying that they're going to completely shut down this town unless former President Jacob Zuma is released from the Estcourt Correctional Facility, which is now, I'd say, about 3 or so kilometers from where we are. That road, which is just a kilometer into the town away from the Estcourt Correctional Facility, where we were reporting live at earlier on this morning, still remained closed. And now there's this protesters that are now shutting down this road here. Vehicles, as you can see, these taxis are trying to use different routes to get across, or at least come out of the town of Ladysmith. See on this side, I'm going to ask my colleague Ray Mbele just to walk with us. As you can see, these vehicles here are coming from Weenan, and now many of them are now turning back. As you see, the protesters have now blockaded the road. Vehicles are now having to U-turn to find alternative route. Let me quickly try and speak. We can speak to this motorist. Baba Sanbonan, you're live on SABC News. Yeah, just tell us about this situation that's unfolding here.
Yeah, this situation. Yeah, we support it because Zuma is our leader. We are the Zulus. Yeah, we support Mr. Zuma.
So niyavumelana baba nokuthi bavale kanje emgwaqeni?
Siyavuma sis. Siyavuma uZuma leader yethu eKZN singamaZulu. Sicasuke kakhulu yabo uZuma bimthathe kanje. It's unfair.
Sis now uthi yaphawula.
Ayisisi siyavuma kakhulu. If umZulu angibona ukuthi ngabe kufanele ukuthi esimene sikanjena umuntu especially ubaba okhulile siyamrespecta, abazange bemnike ifair, they didn't ukuthi bekwazi ukuthi bemnike leso sithunzi somuntu omdala, even though kunezinto mhlambe ezi-wrong bekunendlela bekumele ukuthi bayisebenzise.
Yize noma nani senibona niyajika manje seniphazamisekile endleleni beniyithatha.
Funerally, but we understand as amaZulu from KZN, we support Ubabu Zuma. Support Ubabu Zuma. Okay. We want him out.
All right, these motorists, as we heard them, the gentleman and lady, they're saying that they're on their way to a funeral. Unfortunately, they have had to now make a U-turn, but they are saying they support this action by the community members here, and they want to see former President Jacob Zuma released from prison. They're saying that the authorities could have found another way to deal with this situation. Again, here, if you can see here, the road is now completely closed off. These two taxis are here and many other vehicles are behind. We've just, in fact, Blaine, as or speaking to this couple, these motorists saw a police van that was driving past. What we've picked up, Blaine, here on the ground from the area in which we were at just an hour or so ago, and I'm just looking around, our viewers will have to bear with me. It is also a dangerous situation for us because rocks are flying and they're throwing bottles, etc. So I'm just trying to look around to ensure that we are safe as well. But what we have found is that local police officers from Estcourt area are responding to these situations, or trying to clear the roads. But where we were, the protesters started stoning the police officers in fact threatening them and saying to them, do not interrupt us, do not interfere with what we are doing. We know where you stay, we work with you, and we will get you. So a very, very difficult situation, one would understand, for the police officers as well, Plain, because they live in this area, they work in this area. Now the gentleman was suggesting that why, because of these deployments, about hundreds of police officers from across South Africa that have been deployed here to the province of KwaZulu-Natal to beef up the manpower on the ground. One gentleman even saying, why have the authorities not at least stopped the police officers, meaning taking police officers from Estcourt to another area where they're not familiar with the people in that area. And let's say, for example, if you bring police officers who are already stationed here, like we saw vehicles from the Northwest Province and Gauteng, and bring them to this area because they do not know the locals and they are going to be able to respond to this situation. It's difficult, Plain, for the local police officers to be able to manage the situation because they are from this area and they are also receiving threats themselves.
Ayanda, the reporting is important, but as I say, if you feel that you're in danger in any way, if those stone throwings persist, as you mentioned, cut the feed. We will come back to you if and when it is safe. If you're willing to carry on, can we carry on? Or do you want us to come back to you?
We can carry on, Plain. Well,
right.
No, we can carry on. Interesting enough, although the protesters are throwing stones, but they have not been hostile towards us. They're saying that we need the members of the media because they want South Africans and they want the world to see what is unfolding in KwaZulu-Natal. They want pressure to be put on the government, seeing what is happening, so that they release former President Jacob Zuma. So insofar as us being here, they have not been hostile towards us. But of course, when they are throwing bottles, Plain, and stones, you don't know which direction they will land. So we're trying to just observe that as well. But insofar as the protesters, they have absolutely no problem with us at the moment. In fact, as we approached, they started cheering and saying the SABC has arrived, and again telling us that this situation is going to continue like this until the KZN government, until some were even calling for President Cyril Ramaphosa, saying, where is the president to address this situation that is unfolding in KwaZulu-Natal? They're threatening, Plain, to intensify these protests. And they're saying that the town of Estcourt, of course, as we know, is where former President Jacob Zuma is being held at the Estcourt Correctional Facility. They are going to shut down the town.
You know, that's interesting, Ayanda, that you bring up that point in terms of the attitude from people towards the media. How does it differ from, you know, the stories that you've covered earlier on in the week, last week as well, in terms of how protesters are treating the media?
Well, you remember, Blaine, that when we were reporting live from Nkandla in the days leading up to former President Jacob Zuma being taken by the authorities, that there was a lot of hostility by the supporters of the ANC that had gathered outside the home of former President Jacob Zuma, intimidation and harassment directed at members of the media. You remember that was at MKMVA, Mkhonto weSizwe Military Veterans Association media briefing, where members of the media had to leave because of the heckling and the harassment that we were being subjected to at the time. Very, very different, I must say, from what we have experienced here. We were quite nervous when we arrived to see how the community here was going to work with us or accept the fact that we are here reporting. But we must say that although many do not want to speak to the media, saying that, of course, particularly for us being live on television, because they don't want their faces to be seen. But as you see, we are moving around here on the road. They're not chasing us away. And what they've told us is that they want the world to see what is happening in KwaZulu-Natal. They want to see the injustice by the world, to see the injustices, as they're saying, by the government and the authorities in KwaZulu-Natal. Plain?
So, you know, the two motorists that you spoke to a short while ago, they made a number of comments in terms of why they support this cause. Is that the general sentiment, a strong sentiment among people that you have spoken to?
Certainly, Blaine. Here it's a mixture of people. While you do have ANC members, some are wearing ANC t-shirts and other ANC regalia. Yes, of course, they are saying that as ANC members, they cannot allow to see their former president being incarcerated, and what they're saying is a violation of his constitutional rights. But interestingly enough, we've also just seen general members of the public also coming out, some even telling us that no, they're not members of the ANC or supporters necessarily of the African National Congress, but they feel that this should not have happened to a former President Jacob Zuma, and they support the action of these community members that have come out here in protest. Of course, Blaine, as I was saying earlier on, that while the protesters have come out and they seem to be receiving a lot of support generally from ordinary community members in and around this area, business as well is very, very concerned about the unfolding situation here, because as you notice, today is a Saturday and people would be going out. This is the day where people are able to go to the shops to do their weekly groceries, to run their errands, and unfortunately the town now here in Estcourt has been shut down. And so the concern from businesses were saying that they've already suffered a great deal over the last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdowns. Currently we're under level 4 of the lockdown, which means that stores also have to close a little earlier. And in terms of the numbers of people as well inside the stores, the capacity, they've had to ensure that they adhere to their lockdown regulations. So they're saying that that has really had a negative impact on local businesses. And if you look at a small town like this, small town in Estcourt, where there are not a lot of jobs for the locals here, and so closure of these businesses is really in the long run going to have an impact on this small community here. So a great deal of concern, Blaine, coming from business. Let me move a little bit here, Blaine, and see whether or not these gentlemen who are here will want to speak to us. Sanbon, Ninjani? Sanbon. Niphumile lana bafowethu nivala umgwaqo sinizwe nithi nifuna ukukhululwa lo mongameli wezwe umnumzana uJohn.
Gabi sifunezela uZuma. Wenzela uZuma. Sicela uZuma uRamaphosa naye sifunezela azosichazela kahle udinga.
Manene umnumzana uZuma ugwetshwe inyanga ezu15 ngenxa yokuthi akahambisanyanga nomyalelo wenkantolo. Umthetho kumele udlale indawo yawo. Nithini ke lapha?
Mina ngithi kungani umsholozela maye ngawudlalanga enkantolo, kodwa laba oDihlek oPW board abavuma ngizothisifya kungani bebopha uZuma abamtedeleke wawena wazi abamtedele uZuma.
Umthetho nje mfowethu kufanele uthathe indawo yawo.
Umthetho uqala uphuka ngoZuma, waphuka umthetho kwabulawa abantu eMarikana, ubani waboshwa? Akusiyo umuntu owaboshwa. Namhlanje sekunje ngenxa babopha uZuma. uZuma kanacala.
Okay, ngalokho enikwenza lana ke mfowethu nithini nisazoqhubeka nokuvala?
Sizoqhubeka nokuvala apha until umshwalense aphume ejele. Even uPW board uze wasenza statement sakhe washo ukuthi he will never apologize to the people of South Africa. Why? Because we are playing.
Akasikhulume ngani idolobha lenu idolobha encane bhuti wami bayakhala somabhizinisi ngokuvala manje mhlawumbe nibona ukuthi lokho kuzophazamiseka namatoho abantu abasebenza la edrobheni.
Yebo kuzokwenzeka kanjalo ngezathu ukuthi abantu abaningi abajabule, because vele at the meantime those who are wealthy, they are getting more wealthy during the lockdown situation. Already the unemployment rate under Sir Ramaphosa is high, so asingeke sesikwazi ukuthi singakhalela ukuthi abantu abasebenzi amatoho vele asebenzi. Vele asebenzi uZuma kodwa ekugcineni akaphume. Thank you very much.
All right, okay, you heard from these gentlemen here, Blaine, who have come out here to shut down this road. They say they want one thing: former President Jacob Zuma to be released from prison, and they vowed that they're going to intensify their protests. As you can still see here, many cars that are coming from Winen have now had to make a U-turn to go back. When I asked them about, aren't they concerned about what this is going to do to the local economy because of the concern by businesses? Well, they're saying that the country has already been affected, the economy has already been affected during this lockdown, and so if it must continue this way, it's going to continue. But until they see former President Jacob Zuma being released from prison, they are going to continue with their protest action. Very young, I must say, Blaine, these are youngsters. Some look like they're teenagers from this area. It's also very important, I think, Blaine, to note that this situation has also resulted in some who may just simply be opportunists who are now coming out, in particular those that have decided to loot stores, damage to a property. There are those who have come out to say, yes, this protest is related to the former President Jacob Zuma, but of course there are those that are also taking on this situation, simply turning into a simple criminality at this point, really capitalizing on the situation that is unfolding here in a province of KwaZulu-Natal. Blaine?
Important point to draw that distinction. We appreciate your reporting as always, Ayanda. Please stay safe. We will come back to you as and when things develop where you are. Stand by. As you can see, we have eyes all over KwaZulu-Natal. On your bottom right hand, just below Ayanda, live visuals from Mooi River Toll Plaza. Jadely Polter is standing by. On the left-hand side, I'm going to go to that man on the ground there, Mlondi Khadebe, live for us. Mlondi, a very good morning to you. So, I want to find out more about, from what I read from a statement from the KZN government, talking about, police say, a comprehensive multidisciplinary provincial security plan that has been developed, and all law enforcement agencies are on high alert. You are with law enforcement. What are they saying?